Hi, everybody. Good evening. I hope you all are having a great week today. And to all the Indians who are joining, happy Raksha Bandhan. I'm extremely glad that you guys plan to join today, even though it's festive here. So please join me in welcoming our speaker. Sorry, our speaker, Professor Julie Hay. I would like to give a brief introduction. Professor Julie Hay has over 40 years of experience within the public and private sectors in the UK, alongside over 25 years of consulting and teaching worldwide. She set up the EMCC in 2003 and became the first president. Julie is internationally accredited as a master trainer and supervisor across all fields of transactional analysis and is noted for her ability to complex theoretical concepts. Over to you, Julie. Welcome to Coach to Transformation
Okay.
CCEU webinar.
Welcome to everyone. I'm told that you'll expect me to talk at you for a little while, and then I might pause and see if there are any questions when I get about halfway through. And then I'll leave time at the end for lots more questions. So I'm going to share my screen so that you can see the PowerPoint. If any of you want it, I'm quite happy to share it with you afterwards as a PDF or something. Hold on a second. There we go. So what I'm talking about is recognizing other people, recognizing yourself, and how you do that in terms of styles and communicating with other people when you're doing coaching. But obviously it works the rest of the time as well. So this is a really useful topic to look at because you can apply it anywhere. And when you get towards the end, you'll realize that quite often you choose your life partner because they have a different style. And that sometimes works very well and sometimes it doesn't. And if you know this about it, you can do something different. So, oh, hang on, it's just not moving on. Sorry. Having checked this beforehand, it's now refusing to behave itself. Oh. It's not letting me move on to the next screen. That's it. So I'm going to talk first about working styles. The original person who came up with these ideas called them drivers because they're styles which drive us. But I renamed them because I wanted to think about them more positively. He was looking at that's how we get things wrong, but I saw that they're also our strengths. They only become our weaknesses when we do too much of them. So when we're under stress, they become our drivers, but when we're not stressed, they're our working styles. And a couple of caveats about what I'm talking about. I've simplified it all, so it's easy to use. So that means you use it tentatively. You don't put people into boxes, although keep in mind that when they're stressed enough, they climb into the boxes anyway. And there's no particular order as I describe them. You'll recognize all of them, but for most of us, one or two are more significant. I'm going to present the extreme fun versions, so you're not to point or laugh at each other if you recognize each other, if you know somebody else on this call. And they've got very simple names. They were simple names right from the beginning, and I've simplified one of them even more. They're called Hurry Up, Be Perfect, Please People, Try Hard, and Be Strong. And in a sense, that's all you need to know because that tells you what the style is like. But I will go through and tell you a little bit about each of them. So hurry up. They talk fast, they move fast, they get lots done. The problem is that because they're rushing, they sometimes seem impatient with other people. And also they're going to make some mistakes because they're getting a lot done, shifting a lot very fast. But basically, they're very productive. Probably the most opposite to that one is be perfect. They're very careful, very accurate. They check everything. They'll even look perfectly dressed. Hurry ups might come into work dressed with whatever they picked up in their rush. But the be perfects are perfectly attired. Everything that needs to be is polished, and their work is carefully checked. The drawback to that is it takes a long time. So quite often they'll miss the deadline because they want to check it again. Then I'll talk about please people. Really nice to have around because they want everybody to please with them. So they're very kind, they're very attentive, they check out what you really want. The drawback to that is sometimes they imagine what you might want and you find it too much. I'm just thinking that these are the ones who you're watching the TV and you're about to find out who the murderer is in the last couple of minutes of the program. And they come in and say, oh, you're missing a really good program on another channel. And they switch the channels and they wonder why you're getting angry. It's not so much of a problem nowadays because hopefully you've got a recording, but it used to be really annoying that you couldn't go back and find the end of the program. So when it's overdone, they're smothering people. But when it's working well, they're great to have around, and they're obviously fantastic in customer-facing jobs. Then we have try hard. Tryhards are very enthusiastic and get interested in lots of different things. So they're the innovators. They come up with new ideas, new ways to do things. When it becomes a problem, it's a bit like they never finish anything because they were in the middle of something and then they got distracted by something that looks more interesting. So this is meant to show the old-fashioned in tray, like it just piles up. Or if a tryhard goes to a library or a bookshop, they can't just pick up one book. Their eye is caught by, oh, there's so many interesting topics. So the drawback is they never finish anything, but the plus point is they introduce lots of innovative ideas. And then the final one is called Be Strong. That's Margaret Thatcher. You might have heard of her. She was a bit like an Iceman in the Stone Age. Be Strongs have no feelings. They're brilliant in circumstances where you need somebody to just cope. So they're great in emergency situations, ambulances, things like that, any medical professions that are dealing with very upset people, people fighting fires and so on, or helping with people who are very stressed. The drawback, of course, is that if they overdo that, it comes across as very cold and unfeeling, and they don't make friends very much. And they're probably the most opposite to the please people. So often they end up living with each other. So let me give you a summary of those. Hurry ups, productive but make mistakes. Be perfects are accurate but slow. Please people are pleasant but too nice. Tryhards are enthusiastic but like butterflies. And be strongs are calm but come across as cold. Now, what I'm thinking is, have you got any quick questions about those before I go on to talk about some other styles that fit together with them? If you have a question, just unmute yourself and start speaking. Okay, great. So I'll go on to talk about, sorry, Madhuri?
Yes, hi. May I ask a question?
Yes, of course.
So, is it possible to resonate with more than one of these?
Yes. I have try hard and I have hurry up. So lots of us have got one main one and one second one, but we all experience all of them occasionally. And sometimes as a strength and sometimes as a driver. I remember once my dog was injured and I was taking it to the vet and it was in the car, seriously injured. And I'm working out where I could park. And my son actually said to me, for goodness sake, mother, just park. Don't worry about where. We need to get in the dog to the vet. So I'd gone in to be strong. I was so calm and collected. I wasn't upset about my dog being hurt. But that was really unhelpful because I was doing it too much.
Okay. Thank you.
And I can also do be perfect because I write books and I have to smack myself to stop checking them again. And then I don't do so much please people. So I have to be careful that people don't think I'm being nasty.
Got that.
So, yeah. So I'm guessing we all recognize all of them, but we major on some of them. Somebody say?
Yeah. Does this relate to the DISC at all, the DISC personality assessment?
It possibly does, but it doesn't really. This is from Transactional Analysis and a guy called Taby Kaler. So it's a similar idea, but I use it just on its own because it's so much easier and you don't have to get involved with anything else.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but there's lots of different style models. I just happen to think this one works really well. Okay, so what I'm going to talk about next is our personal styles, which is like we're a radio and we get turned on and it's like what wavelength is coming out. Now, just bear with me because I'm going to talk about 5 different styles now. And then once I've explained that, this is about how we're behaving. And then I'll match them up with how you can use one of these wavelengths best with one of the working styles. But if you forget the working styles for a moment, unless you're a try hard, in which case you'll want to link them yourself, I'll go through these and then we can look at how they fit. So the first one is called natural child. Now, we learn this when we're born. This is how we behave. We cry a lot. We let everybody know how we're feeling. Hopefully, then we start to smile and laugh and do appealing things as well. When we're grown up, we still act like this sometimes. We might tone it down because we think, I'm a grown-up, I'm not supposed to act like a child. But there are certain times when it would be really helpful to act like a natural child and let people know how you feel, including when you feel sad or angry, as well as when you feel happy. So that's one way of behaving. But as we're growing up, we learn to do adapted child instead. So we adapt to the other people. This is where cultural differences come in a lot, because we learn certain ways to behave depending on where we grew up. I remember when I first used to come to India and teach there, I realized there's a big difference about what you chat to about somebody when you're meeting for the first time. In the UK, we talk about the weather, but your weather doesn't change like ours does. So you can't say it's raining again in the rainy season. And I was a bit taken aback because people would ask me things about myself and my family. In the UK, that would be very personal. But then I realized, oh, that's what they talk about instead of the weather. And things like whether you shake hands or whether you bow or whether you curtsy, all of those things get taught to us to be an adapted child. And when we're grown ups, we still have to act like that. We especially act like this often with our managers, our senior people at work. And also, we might still act like this with our parents and our grandparents and any neighbors who happen to be a lot older than us. So it's useful because we fit in, but sometimes, like the natural child, it can get us into trouble because we might have learned to be quite rebellious. We might have learned to be over-adapted, so we just agree with everyone. And we might have learned that the only way we felt safe as little children was to act like we were not there. So you get somebody who seems to be an invisible adapted child. They come to a meeting and they never speak, and everybody forgets whether they were there or not. So again, like the working styles, these have all got pluses and minuses. Now, the next one I'll talk about is called nurturing parent. I've deliberately shown a man because most cultures, they expect women to do this and men not to. And there's no good reason for that apart from cultural. So nurturing parent is when we're looking after other people. We're acting in a caring, supportive way. And again, of course, we might do that too much and smother them and look after them too much. So like the other styles I'm talking about, there's always a positive and there's always a negative if it's done inappropriately. The equivalent to that is controlling parent, and again, deliberately shown as a female because they think men are supposed to be in control. And if you act like you're in charge, you might be seen as if you're like this and just shouting at everybody. The positive and controlling parent is somebody needs to be in control in a lot of cases. So the positive version will be when you have somebody who takes charge, maybe of a situation and lets everybody else know what they need to do. The negative is when you try to be in charge and you shouldn't be, or you try to be in charge all the time. Sometimes in organizations, you have managers who only bark out their orders and never relax, even when it's the lunch break or when they're meant to be doing something different than like a brainstorming session. If you have a controlling parent behaving there, nobody will come up with any ideas because they're afraid they'll get told what's wrong with them. So again, positive and negative, and beware of the sexist stereotypes. And then the final one is called functional adult. If any of you already know about transactional analysis, my colleagues still use the term adult, but it's very confusing because it means acting like a grown-up, but it also means acting like a computer. And people get confused about whether you're a grown-up on the inside or how you're behaving on the outside. So all of these styles I'm telling you are only your behaviors. Hopefully on the inside, you're in the here and now and you're choosing how you want to behave. And you might choose any one of these 5. If you're not in the here and now on the inside, the danger is they just pop out and they're not so appropriate. So the functional adult means you are being logical, problem solving, talking about things in a logical, computer-like way. That's obviously helpful if you need to do problem solving, but it's not very helpful if somebody is in tears in front of you, or somebody is very angry in front of you, or whatever. So again, it's not necessarily a good idea to behave logically. It's a bit like when I was saying that I was thinking about where to park logically, and that was not a very sensible thing to be doing. So if I give you the summary of those, in terms of the channels that work, nurturing parent will talk to somebody who's in natural child. But that's about the only way that works for natural nurturing parent. Functional adult will only talk to another functional adult. If you try to use functional adult with somebody who's in a different, sorry, somebody needs to mute themselves. We're getting a lot of background noise. Fine. Functional adult will only talk to functional adult. If you try to talk logically to anybody else in a different style, it won't work. Natural child works well with other people who are natural child, like you're both enjoying yourself and having fun, or you're both being creative and so on. So natural child might work with another natural child, but remember, I also said it will fit well with nurturing parent. And then controlling parent, you need the other person to be adaptive child and do what you want, what you're telling them to do. So quite often, if you think about people at work or people in traditional families, the older person or the more senior person is controlling parent, and they expect whoever they're speaking to go into an adaptation and just say yes, no, whatever. So if you are communicating with somebody who's controlling parent, you've either got to use your adapted child, or you've got to be a more powerful controlling parent than they are and push them into the adapted child. So, any questions about those channels before I show you how the two models fit together? Okay, so hurry up. Don't even bother to think about which style to use. Just talk fast, because by the time you thought about, shall I use my functional adult to talk to them, they've already gone somewhere else or done what you were thinking about. If it's be perfect, then you need to use functional adult to functional adult. They will respond best to a logical conversation. If it's please people, then they probably want to be nurturing parent, and they want you to be natural child and be really pleased with what they're doing for you. Some circumstances, it might be the other way round. So you need to be nurturing them so that they can relax and be natural child. If they try hard, the channel that works best is both of you are natural child. So remember, tryhards are very enthusiastic, so you both get enthusiastic about things. And then if they're be strong silent type, they are likely to use controlling parent and expect you to be an adapted child, unless you're the more senior person, in which case they will expect you to tell them what to do, and they'll be adapted child. So that's actually the end of the content I was going to tell you about. That's some of my websites in case you get interested. I'll leave it long enough just to have a look at it. I run a world online TA association. I run special qualifications. I run my own programs, and I editor of a research journal. I'm going to stop sharing now so that I can see all of you who have your cameras on. And let me emphasize again, that was a very quick run through because we've only got about an hour. It's very simplified. There's lots of more theory behind it, but I find it works really usefully, especially if you're coaching or you want to explain it to your clients, because they are often coming because their relationships aren't working out, either at home or at work. So it's nice and easy to explain it fairly quickly. So, questions, comments?
A short comment, Julie.
Yeah.
It was very nice, precise, and the pace was perfect. I think your communication and presentation style was just fantastic.
Thank you.
Everything was crystal clear.
Thank you. And I'm aware that I was told that on these sessions, you don't normally do breakout rooms, but I'm very tempted. We've still got 30 minutes left. And I'm used to working much more interactively. I'm used to people keep interrupting me because I'm a try-hard, so I get really enthusiastic. So unless somebody's got more questions, how do you feel if I put you into a couple of breakout rooms? Because I believe I'm the host, so I could put you to some small groups of about 4 people, or 4 or 5, and you could just talk about what I've been talking about for like 10 or 15 minutes and then come back with questions. If you don't want to do that, just ignore the invitation to join a breakout room. So anybody want to start with questions to stop me doing that?
Julie, hi. Sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
There are a few questions in the chat box.
Okay.
If you
So
are okay, shall I just read it out to you?
I'm looking at them now.
Okay.
So I'm reading, is there an assessment? I've made up a simple questionnaire, but really you don't need an assessment. If you tell people about these styles, they'll know what they are. So I have a fun assessment, but I'm very wary of things that say they're analyzing somebody. I assume you're going to get the recording anyway. And the question about whether they change in the context, obviously they do for some people, but that depends how stressed they are as well. If you get really stressed, you go back to your default style. If you're not too stressed, you might well behave differently at work than you do at home. Children often behave differently at school than they do with their parents. So I'm just looking through. If anybody wants to tell me something I've missed, I think I've got most of the questions there. Anybody want to tell me I've missed something?
Julie, there's one question from Vidyathar Kale. Can people be different at different places? Vidyathar, you can come off mute and explain if you wish to.
I did say that in the context, you might be different. So many people are different at home to how they behave at work. That might work both ways. They might feel constrained to hide their own style at home, or they might feel constrained to show their strengths at work. So, but if we get stressed enough, we'll want to go to our style. And the whole point of knowing this is so that you can recognize that you do all of them, and then you have some choices. So you don't have to keep on behaving in the way that you feel you have to. You can learn to be different in different circumstances or with different people. Anything else? So,
I think that's a
yes.
very good question, Julie. I don't know if you also had a chance to look at it. Somebody is asking, how can we apply TA in coaching? As in coaching, we don't deal with the past of an individual.
You don't need to look at the past to look at this. This can all be done about what you're behaving like now. When I'm coaching, I'm a transactional analyst, so I look at the past. but I don't necessarily, in coaching, invite them back into the past. I invite them to think about the past now. So it's really helpful to remember that when you were a little kid, that's what you got rewarded for. So that's shaped how you're behaving now. Plus, we don't know how much of this is biological. So TA sometimes misses out biology. And sometimes it works with an old model of the brain. So we don't know why we're like this. Maybe we're born like it. Maybe we like to be different. Our parents got so upset when we were acting naturally that we learned to do something different. You can help a coachee learn that, think about that, without having to regress back to the past. So it's like, why would you look at anything and rule out the past? If you've got a broken arm, the doctor will think about, how did you break it? You don't have to regress back to the moment to talk about what happened.
Perfect. Will we be getting the copy of the presentation or the recording?
I assume
Ipsita,
you'll get the recording and you can have the presentation. Yeah.
Ipsita, the recording will be uploaded on YouTube and you'll be notified when it's done.
So
Okay,
I'm assuming that the organizer of this has your email addresses. So I'll give them the presentation and they can send it to you, or they can put it somewhere.
Thank you, Julie. I will 100% do that.
Put it on my website if you like. My website is juliehay.org. So I'll put this up on my website. So if you go there, I'll do it later today. I'll make it labeled with what I was doing, and here is the PowerPoint. So that's easy. Like I say, normally when I do these things, I send the PowerPoint out in advance. So any other questions? Because I'm now thinking we've still got time. I'm going to put you into some small groups of 5 people. If you don't want to join them, you don't have to, or you can just join in and not show yourself or not speak. And hopefully at least 2 people will end up able to talk to each other. And I'll give you 10 minutes and then we'll come back for the final 10 minutes for questions. So breakout rooms. Right. 4 to 5 participants per room. So you should get a message in the moment. And I'll see you in 10 minutes.
They're all in the breakout rooms.
Yes, and most of them have joined.
Yes.
Yeah. There's one person on her own, so I'll move her to room 9.
Vandana?
Yeah, no, Vandana hasn't joined. Kurtz, somebody Kurtz, autopilot. They've accepted the move to room 9.
Okay.
So all of the rooms have at least 3 people talking to each other,
Great.
and most of them have 4 or 5. Yeah. So we'll just wait and see where they come back. I didn't realize how fast it went. I must have been in my hurry up.
I think the breakout room has started working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you might have to do it in future. I find it's really useful because it gives me a break and it means they get other opinions. And then probably they'll have lots of questions afterwards. Yeah.
I will note this down and try and use
Yeah.
it in other webinars.
Yeah. And then later on today, I'll put the PowerPoint on my website, but you can pick it up and send it to people if you like when you send the recording.
Yes, yes. So the recording
Yeah.
will be uploaded by this week, and I'll be sending them all a personal message with the link.
Okay, fine.
Link.
So will you send me the recording as well?
Yes, I will upload it on LinkedIn, and I will also tag you in that.
Right. And we just
Hi,
spotted
hi,
Dilip.
Julie. Can you put me in room 8? I just logged out.
Okay, you want to go back into room 8, yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
Here you go. And
Hi, Suja. Do you need to get assigned to any of the groups?
maybe a silent participant. I do that sometimes. I just watch while I do my knitting or something. She was down for room 2, but maybe she wants to go back, but she's still down as room 2. So if she wanted to, she can just get back there. Right. So they've got 6 more minutes. I'm just making myself a big note to remember to put it on the website.
No problem. If you wish to, you can mail me as well.
Yeah, no, I'll do it. It's just that I'm a try-hard, so when I get off this, there'll be lots of other interesting things to distract me. So I know I need to make notes. That's one of the advantages. Once you spot your style, you can get into habits to make sure you control it.
Yeah, when I was looking at it, I realized that I am a mixture of one is people pleaser and the other one is perfectionist. I have to make sure that everything is perfect and the way I need it.
I know. And I write books, so sometimes I think I can't put everything in it. I can always do a second edition because I'm writing a whole series of free books that are reviews and critiques of TA theory over the years. That means I avoid copyright problems because you can reproduce people's figures without permission if it's not commercial. But I keep reading more things and thinking, oh, that could go in that. So I have to smack my hands and think,
Oh,
no, you've got enough in the book already. Yeah. But I'm hopeless at proofreading. I spot lots of things, but it's wonderful that Google does proofreading.
I think people, okay, one person just came and went back. Yes, Kamaldeep is here. Hi, Kamaldeep.
Yeah. But the rest are all still in their groups. Suja is still showing as if she's in room 2. Oh, yeah. So Kamaldeep must have went back or left.
Kamaldeep left.
I can't see the name in a group.
Kamaldeep
maybe,
left. I think
yeah.
there might be some internet issues as well, as
Yeah, might be. Yeah,
she's facing that issue,
Yeah.
joining in.
yeah. That's always the problem, isn't it? Especially with the way the weather's been lately around the world.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's been
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. So at 18 minutes past, I will give them 1 minute warning and I close the rooms.
Yeah.
I'll just wait till it says 18.
So you're currently based out of UK?
Sorry?
So you're right now based out of UK itself?
Yes,
Great.
I'm in UK. Yeah. I'm not planning to travel anywhere. I've been to about 60 different countries and I've taught TA in more than 40 of those. So I think I've done enough to contribute to global warming. So I really shouldn't do it anymore. Unless somebody invited me to a country I've never been to.
Oh, I think I can't say India is one of them
I
because
know,
you've
I've
been to
been there
India.
so often. I've been there so much. Some
Everybody's
of them are,
coming back.
yeah, they're not all coming back. Some of them are, but they've got another minute. So while we're waiting, if anybody who's come back wants to ask me a question, carry on. There's another half a minute before the groups actually get closed. So, any questions? Srinathan? Nathan? I struggle with some names because they're so different.
Hear me?
Yes.
Do you apply TA along with some other tools, or of course you have to meld it with other things that you do? But can you give some sort of guidance as to where it would be more effective than others?
Well, I'm a bit biased because I've been studying it for a long time, and I'm also an NLP licensed trainer, but I think it's so much more useful than the other approaches I've learned about. So I think it's useful anywhere. I don't think people have to get the qualifications. I'm running alternative qualifications because a few of my colleagues and I got so fed up with the way it's become in the international community. It's like they say you have to do 12 hours on an introductory course, and then 5 years later, please write 24,000 words and come for an exam. So that always struck me as silly, and they didn't do that when I first learned it years ago.
Okay.
So, but I think it's so useful everywhere.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I think it's also useful to think about what our childhood did to us, because most people, they're still living as if they're still back there. There's a great model that says every 13 years you go around a cycle again, and you go through the first 13 years of your life as a grown-up. It's fascinating. It explains midlife crises and all sorts of things. So, but I am very enthusiastic about TA. So, any questions arising from your discussions in the breakout rooms? I can't believe I explained it that well that nobody has any questions.
No, I think we brainstormed on all of these drivers and the maps that the mapping that you shared. I think I got a little better clarity. I thought I understood everything, but Dilip shared some of the insights that he could infer, and I think I understood the concept a little more better. But the 10 minutes was not enough. I think this is a fantastic idea to have breakout sessions, and maybe next time when you're sharing some sessions, please plan for 1.5 hours. So the question which did not get answered for me was what really you meant when you said hurry up, just talk fast, because as I understand, hurry up are the people who are extra cautious, and if they have to reach somewhere on a particular time, they would be like 15 minutes before and make sure that everybody else also follow them and stuff like that, and make them hurried.
No, I didn't say anything like that.
No?
Hurry ups will turn up 5 minutes late. They'll rush in late, and
That is what I understood. Now I understood something else.
No, that
Okay.
would mean be perfect will be turning up on early, because they'll watch the clock and walk into the meeting room exactly on the dot. The pleased people are more likely to be early because they want you to be pleased with them, and they're worried about being late. But the hurry up won't care. They'll just rush everywhere, and they'll turn up a few minutes late, come in and interrupt you. Sorry, I'm late. Talk very fast, and then rush away again. I had to learn to control my hurry up because I work internationally with interpreters. If you're a hurry up, you have to really work at working with an interpreter, because you can't just say it all fast. So I was forced to slow down, and I could no longer run my sessions where if we ran out of time, I'll just say the last bit quickly, because the interpreter can't do that. Yeah. So
got it. Yeah.
Yeah. So they won't turn up early. The ones who be early are more likely to be the pleased people.
Okay. Now clear.
Okay.
Julie, if I may ask a question here.
Yeah, sure.
When you said from a hurry up, you have slowed down a lot for the sake of your interpreters. Is that not completely moving away from your natural communication style? So what do you do to take care of yourself?
It's moving away from my style, which got in the way of me getting good relationships with other people.
Oh,
So what
okay.
I do is it means I get better relationships with other people, which obviously is healthier for me.
There is a deeper meaning making that you have done in this process. Is that correct?
Yeah. So what
Okay.
I know is everybody is different. And if you want relationships with as many people as possible, you have to deal with diversity. You can't just think that's their problem if they can't keep up with me, or if they want more nurturing than I'm ready to give, and so on. So it's all about learning to live with diversity because they're thinking the same about me.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much for that explanation.
Yeah. So it means that you have a better time because you get on with more people. It still doesn't mean you get on with everyone.
Yeah, I think this concept will also have can be used very well in team coaching.
Sorry, I missed the last word.
In team coaching.
Yeah, definitely. The ideal team would have one of each working style. So the try hard would come up with the ideas. The be strong would stay calm. The please people would be nice to everyone. The be perfect would make sure the ideas are thought through and implemented properly. And the hurry up would make sure they don't spend too long on it. But what happens, of course, in teams where they have different styles is they just clash with each other if they don't know the model.
Yeah, and therefore, if they recognize that these are the types without going through a training session, and they sort of understand each other better, then the feeling of safety in the group would perhaps be enhanced.
So just telling people about we have 5 different styles and most of us have 1 or 2 more than the others is enough for people to think, oh, there's nothing wrong with me and there's nothing wrong with them. We're just different. It's no different to saying the color of your skin is different, or your height is different, or your eyesight is different.
Julie, I have a question.
Sure.
What if people have more than one style?
Well, they'll all have all 5, but most people will have at least 2, quite a bit.
Like, for instance, be perfect and hurry up, if that combination comes up.
And they'll get very stressed because they want to do it quickly, but they want to take the time to check it all. So my combination of hurry up and try hard works fine because I can get very enthusiastic and move fast. But some of the combinations are a real problem within the person. So please people and be strong. They don't know whether to be nurturing or calm. Be perfect and try hard, or be perfect and hurry up. I've got another model where we put them on a quadrant, and you can see that please is in the top left, be perfect is top right, be strong is bottom right, and try hard is bottom left. And then I draw three-dimensionally because hurry up is out here, and the opposite to accelerating is patience, which is at the back. So the be perfects are the most patient ones, and the hurry ups are the most accelerating ones.
Yeah.
So just knowing that helps people to understand, why do I get so stressed?
So stress.
And why do I not get on with a particular person?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you
And
so
if
much.
you have an arranged marriage, it might be better, but it might be worse, because your parents will have chosen a partner in the same way that their arranged marriage worked out. So if they fitted really well together, arranged marriage would be better than marrying somebody you chose for yourself.
Yeah.
But not if they're passing on the generational patterns of not getting on very well.
Yeah. Got it.
Okay. We're meant to have stopped, so I'll put it on my website. If any of you want to ask more questions, send me an email. I'll happily answer. And on my website, there's a facility to book into my calendar, especially if you want to talk about TA. I don't charge people to talk about learning TA. So maybe I'll hear from some of you again.
Definitely.
Okay.
Thank you very much. That was very informative. Thank you.
Great. Thank you
Thank
for
you so
joining in.
much. Thank you so much, Julie. It was a wonderful session. And thank you
Okay.
for letting us know that we can send you an email and learn
Yes,
more about
fine.
TA.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay.